Welcome to your weekly update for everything in the world of animation. I'm Brian Swan. Sorry I'm late, guys. Let's get into the greatest things that happened this week. Starting off, if you're wondering what Disney was planning on doing with Pokemon after the announcement last year that they'd be airing the series on their network, not Cartoon Network, question no more. Disney XD launched Anime Block Saturday at 9. This crossover combined Beyblade, Pokemon, and Yokai Watch into a half-an-hour series on Disney XD. We'll see how that turns out in the next few months, if ratings are good or not. But next up, Archer. After presenting a trailer last week, Fox announced their adult animated series Archer is making its return to television, not on FX, but FXX, and begins its 8th season April 5th. Fox, you gotta stop with the X's, one more X, and it won't be Fox, it'll be a porn network. The DC Universe animated original Teen Titans: The Judas Contract will be available on video on April 18th, 2017. That's right, there's high-quality product that has the name Teen Titans out there, so if you're looking for something that had butt-kicking action and epic story with the name Teen Titans, go out and pre-order it. It looks really awesome. And I really wanted to talk about this. Nick started the week off by showing a short titled Fairly Odd Phantom, in which all of Butch Hartman's creations came together in the Fenton basement. It starts off with what looks like an average day in the world of Danny Phantom, but quickly turned into a crossover that included the characters from Tough Puppy, Fairly Odd Parents, and Hartman's latest series, Bunsen is a Beast. Unfortunately, there is no word if Nick is making a full crossover episode of this, nor is there a word of Danny Phantom actually returning. But in other crossover news, Saturday, March 4th, two of Butch Hartman's series, Fairly Odd Parents and Bunsen is a Beast, will have an official crossover episode. This marks the first crossover from Nickelodeon in over a decade and will feature the friendship of Cosmo and Bunsen. Hey Hartman, since you want to do crossovers, make the one of Danny Phantom real, not just this one. And in less fun news, 4 entire years since the sequel to the original film's release and nearly a decade since the original film hit theaters, Claudio Futanza Meatballs hit televisions on the Teen Titans Go! Cartoon Network with a first look on Monday, showing viewers what Flint was up to before the original film. Some would say it's way too late for a spin-off cartoon of a movie that came out in 2013. Others would say maybe Cartoon Network should focus on making more original content, but either way, Claudio Futanza Meatballs premieres as a full animated series in March. So, Adult Swim announced the start of production of Season 3 of Rick and Morty through compiled footage of the characters rickrolling. Viewers, it's a good watch. A lot of people have already seen it. It's in the trending section of YouTube, so you guys have to check it out. It's a good time. Now, this weekend sees the release of Rock Dog, a film centered on a dog named Bodhi that wants to play guitar, and while his father insists he needs to protect his village, he wants to, go into music. I saw the movie with Mark and find him at Canine Biscuits on YouTube, but here's what we talked about.
I think it was pretty okay. Well, I thought it was going to be because from the look at the budget, and I didn't look at the actual budget from the animation. Right. I thought it was going to be a lot cheaper in terms of just throwaway writing. Exactly. Yeah. But it wasn't actually had little bits of effort put into it.
I was going to ask you about what surprised you most. I think what surprised both of us was the fact that it came off like it was going to be a bad movie, or it was going to be a subpar movie. This was not anticipated by either of us as a movie that we wanted to go see, but it was. I think it surprised me a lot because I thought that this was going to suck, and I really enjoyed most of it. I thought that it was a fun time. Trolls actually was way less mature than this movie is. This is much more fun.
Trolls has a super budget, but it has it's super lowbrow.
Exactly.
It doesn't really go anywhere until you get to you meet the secondary character Angus Scattergood,
whatever. Yeah.
Angus Scattergood. That's his name. The rock star. The rock star. The inspiration and the movie gets a lot better once he's on screen because he's a funny character.
Exactly. I didn't miss the villain. I didn't miss having any villain to go after him. I thought that it was good to see an adventure. It could have easily gone down the route of, this girl, he likes her, he's going to protect her, she gets captured, and then, he has to protect her. He has to find his strength because she's captured. The end. He battles the end. It didn't go that way. She wasn't the main thing about this movie. She was just there, and they don't even go into a romance at all. Man, this thing did a really good job, but it's going to be it's going to be forgotten. It's easily going to be forgotten. But it did a really good job.
Yeah, again, well, I wouldn't say it's worth a full theater admission, but it is worth like. I mean, I would say like if you like for like a early matinee or like a rental, a quick rental, it's fine.
Right. All right, Mark. Thank you.
Yes, it's quicker.
Alrighty. So before I move on, how is Rock Dog tracking as a film? Well, at the box office, even though we thought the film was better than Norm of the North in terms of quality, it made actually less than $1 million this Friday and is tracking to make even less than $10 million opening weekend on a $60 million budget. Ouch, indeed. Not looking good for Rock Dog. So, the 89th Academy Awards will air this Sunday, and while I don't really care much about such a celebration, I am fascinated to find out who will win this year's Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. To talk about that, and some of the greatest snuffs in the categories past, I brought Mark back to talk about it. Mark, how are you?
Good, and need to start making more videos again. I keep forgetting. Oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I have one of those.
We have My Life as a Zucchini, directed by Claude Barras, The Red Turtle, which is actually co-produced by Studio Ghibli, Disney Pictures' Moana, and Zootopia, as well as my personal favorite by Lockheed Entertainment, Kubo and the Two Strings. Who do you think is going to be the one that's going to win this, and what's your personal favorite?
My personal two of the favorite is Moana and Kubo, but like if I had to choose between, I think it would like, I know I said Moana, but I think I go with Kubo because like, it was more of like it feels like a more newer experience to me, even though I like Moana is like my favorite so far. It's my favorite Disney movie with a female protagonist.
Right.
Even more than Mulan. I really like Zootopia. It's just like it's like the other two are just like such a good journey.
Yeah, My Life as a Zucchini and The Red Turtle.
Yeah, those are two I've never seen. I haven't seen
either.
A trailer for it. Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, they sound like from the cover I'm looking at and the titles, they might be emotional Oscar bait. So I'm not sure who would win. Right.
Oh, see that? Yeah, you talked about this earlier, but it's like. I still think that there's not a chance that those two, My Life as a Zucchini and The Red Turtle, have a chance of actually winning because, as we've seen in years past, it's gone to these bigger studios. But you think that there's still a possibility of them still being able to win overall. Right. I mean, the interesting thing that I see is that Zootopia has been getting a lot of praise. Like, much more praise than I've actually seen. Like, recently, it's like they've hit many different award shows, have won multiple times. I thought Moana was going to get it or Kubo was going to. No, Zootopia is getting it. I'm very surprised at how many people have loved this movie that came out and remember this movie. This movie came out in March or April.
Yeah.
It's not like this thing was like was so like recent. So it has a great story, but I didn't think it was ever going to get so close to being awarded to a degree. So.
I kind of felt that early on before I got distracted by everything else later in the year. It's like it's mostly because the Zootopia is clever. It's clever where like on its subjects because like before like it got overshadowed by everything by like most of the other anime films that came during the rest of the year.
Right.
It was like top praise because like how clever it was about like its subject on race and like and accepting different people.
Kubo, I've said since I saw it, I thought that this was going to be the winner because I thought that it was a brilliant story, brilliant execution. Just some of the scenes are very well done in stop motion form. I love it. I love the way that the movie was shot. I think it was an amazing job by Lockheed. And I think that Moana stole a lot of its thunder, but I still think that it has the likely chance of winning. I still put Kubo at the top of winning this thing. I want to talk about the animated feature snuffs, and just the ones that lose to ones that we think obviously should have won. So I want to go from new to old. So the most latest, I think. The most latest, obviously, we talk about 2015 or 2014. Yeah, I want to go to 2014. I want to start with one that's not actually all that controversial, but I think we could make a case for. Big Hero 6, How to Train Your Dragon 2. I think How to Train Your Dragon 2 was just more well executed than Big Hero 6. I think that it had the characters, a really good sequel, really strong sequel. Some of this, just like I said with Kubo, very well done movie. And Big Hero 6, I love it, but it's not, I don't think.
It's not, it doesn't feel that original. It's like, it's a good movie. It's just like, it's not that original, not much focus on most of its characters. Just mostly on Baymax and I forgot, and Hero. I think that's his name.
Hero. Yeah. I mean, obviously it had the loss, but that was maybe
that was predictable.
That was the only thing that
its plot twist was more. It was predictable because it was like between two people.
Yeah, and like we had talked about before, of course, it was I think more of the fact that it was closer to award season than How to Train Your Dragon 2. How to Train Your Dragon 2 came out in the summer. That one came out in the fall, so you had that sort of battle going on where people had that in their minds more often. Let's jump to the next one.
Okay, something I just want to mention.
You want to mention
what sucks about the Oscars is like I don't get why the Lego Movie wasn't like nominated.
It wasn't
because a lot of people were upset about that, and I am too. It's like that was a good ass movie.
You have these nominees, and that was a very weird year. But I want to jump over next one. Frozen winning against The Wind Rises. Everyone who's a Studio Ghibli fan knows this is probably the most critically debated winner that we've seen ever for sort of a Miyazaki loss. Like Frozen, just because it had all the merchandise, all the music, all the singing, all the kids were knowing about. That's it. The Wind Rises destroys that movie 5,000%. There's no debate there.
I haven't seen it. I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it. It's like I haven't seen Frozen either, but like. I don't really care for. I like 2013. I don't know about this year because like, the only movie I've seen that's nominated is Despicable Me 2, and I'm even surprised I even just made it. But I'm guessing like there wasn't much competition.
It doesn't seem like it. Yeah. So
I can't remember much animated movies came out in 2013 either. It's like, I guess it was just like a niche year.
Yeah. Moving on, 2012 had another big year, just like where we had Frozen coming from Disney in 2013 against The Wind Rises. It's like Wreck-It Ralph losing against Brave because it seemed like it was a Pixar movie. Like many people Brave is not Pixar at its best. Wreck-It Ralph, and then you had Paranorman as well. You had Frankenweenie, but Wreck-It Ralph or Paranorman. You said you thought Paranorman should have won that year. Both of those movies, I think, better executed movies than Brave. I think Brave has a lot that just.
So I'm not seeing Brave, but like it doesn't like. Well, I really don't have much room to judge. I haven't seen it, but like it does like from the trailers to me, it doesn't look that much interesting to make me want to see it.
Right. It was just it wasn't Pixar's greatest, and I'm glad that going back to this year, I'm glad that they pushed Pixar out. You don't see Finding Dory on this list of 2016. And I'm glad, because it wasn't Pixar's best. They didn't try hard enough, and I don't think that was... They were just making a sort of cash grab movie. I think that didn't deserve a spot, and it didn't.
Yeah, so I'm glad that was actually a good choice.
Yeah. So, Brave winning, I think, very big point of discussion, just as much as The Wind Rises against Frozen. Then you have, I want to move, I think, down to, of course, now we're in the 2000s, 11 years ago, Happy Feet winning against Monster House, and even winning against Cars. I mean, Happy Feet was that movie where it had the fun parts of it, but it also had the emotional impact of being an environmentally conscious movie of, oh yeah, he's in the aquarium, so, that made people that gave people a message to do something, and that's probably why it won. But Monster House was just a much better executed movie. It was an overall much better rounded and much more enjoyable movie, and it had a lot of suspense and it just was much better than I think Happy Feet will ever be, just on my opinion. They should have chosen.
I'll take your word. I haven't seen
Wallace
it,
and Gromit.
I've only seen Wallace and Gromit, Christopher Reeves. I like that movie.
It's a fun movie. I've seen that as well. I've seen Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of Were Rabbit. That's one of the first Wallace and Gromit movies I saw on VHS. I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie, but it's not something that I'd say goes up against Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is not Studio Ghibli's best movie. I think you look at Mononoke for that, but it's still a really good movie. It still has a message too, and I think that
again, I'll take your word for it. I have not seen Howl's Moving Castle, but Wallace and Gromit as is, I give it some kind of trophy. So I was like,
I'll give it best animated comedy of that year. I guess that's what
I've not seen Corpse Bride either, so who knows? That could be better than Howl's Moving Castle.
Now, obviously, there's a point of debate in 2004. People obviously thought Shark Tale should have won against Incredibles.
Oh hell no! Are you? Oh god, I used to love that movie back then. I seen a review looking back on it, I'm like, holy shit, that movie's so bad.
It is, yeah. With his face, with the Will Smith's face in the fish, whatever. But all right, let's get down to like.
I'd say Strike 2 is a good contender for Incredibles. Strike 2 was a.
Oh, it was a great sequel.
It's the best in the series.
Yeah. But let's get to the last one here. Not really a big debater, but still one that people talk about from time to time. 2001, Shrek 1 against Monsters, Inc. I think Monsters, Inc., obviously, if you go into a debate, I think Monsters, Inc. could turn out a winner as a Pixar movie, but, I mean, you know.
I think, for me, Shrek 1 was more an experience, was probably, like, a better, more, I mean, not better, I mean, I don't know, I guess put them equal, but, like, it was, like, a more original, I felt like a more original experience than Monsters, Inc. I love Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. is still one of my favorite Pixar movies. One of my favorite. I don't really have a top one. I can't think of one right now.
Somebody to choose from.
Yes.
Yeah. But
like, I'd say like Shrek was like when it's like when DreamWorks found their spark, and
right
then they overuse that spark, and now it's just a fucking fire.
Well, it's burning out upon their eyes now. Yeah, it's not. No, the fire was set in like the early 2000 in like at the turn of the decade, 2010, when they were making those really good movies. It was like the fire was good, and then they stopped making them, and now it's back to being a dud again. But you know,
like Shrek was like their movie that like their only good movie that was so good. Like I remember seeing a DVD for Ants, the movie that came before Shrek, and like on a DVD cover it was like from the creators of Shrek. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, that's how. Yep. No, because everyone forgets about Ants, so you know.
Because Bug's Life is so much better.
That's true, but you know, Mark. Thanks for coming. You know, again, guys, find him at Canine Biscuits on YouTube. Again, thanks again, man.
All right, no problem.
All right. I've given Cartoon Network a lot of flack for covering their schedule with Teen Titans Go, while at the same time destroying the legacy of Boomerang, but for this week's closer, I want to talk about Disney XD. I thought this was Disney Animation's centric channel for animation, to balance out the awful sitcoms of Disney Channel. Not only was I wrong, but Disney XD does the same schedule filling that has plagued Cartoon Network, yet no one seems to be talking about it. Sure, Gravity Falls and Star vs. the Forces of Evil are much better shows to enjoy than Teen Titans Go, but those two series marathon for hours every weekday, and on top of that are only interrupted to show live-action content like Walk the Prank or Lab Rats. Phineas and Ferb rule the weekends, and that new anime block is just a small blip on the radar. Not only are there a number of other in-production animated series that deserve to have airtime, but Disney also has a rich history of animation from decades past that could land on XD since the company doesn't have a throwback channel like Boomerang. Series like Lilo and Stitch, American Dragon, Emperor's New School, and Kim Possible, which ruled the prior decade, as well as further throwbacks like from the 80s and 90s, should be able to fit on the schedule as well and would bring a wider variety of tunes to the table. Let's not forget, Disney also has more than a few animated films they could always tap into. I'm always really excited for the future of this channel. DuckTales and Big Hero 6 are both awesome series I'd like to watch out for, and I can't wait for their premieres. But Disney XD having schedule fillers is wildly ridiculous and grandly unnecessary. To the execs that have done this, please fix your programming. Now, before I go, I want to announce that at the end of every Animation Nation, there will be a section for questions, and just send them to email at democracychannel@gmail.com or go to the website. Today, while I don't have any questions from submissions yet, I wanted to take a question I received on a video about Nicktoons Network. It comes from Mr. Eos, who commented, "Why can't the splat exist on both Nicktoons and Teen Nick? Nicktoons could have 90s cartoons, and Teen Nick could have sitcoms and game shows." Well, that sort of confuses me, because the splat itself is just animated content. Nicktoons should be the place for sitcoms and game shows, and that should be primarily it. It could be possible that Nicktoons could land on both, but it would destroy the credibility of Nicktoons and the interest of people going to Nicktoons. You know, the whole thing about having a Nicktoons channel should be getting Nicktoons on that channel. So, while it could be a great thing to have on both, it would just be very confusing for the general audience that doesn't understand and doesn't really know what's going on in terms of Nicktoon content. But, thanks for the question. Alrighty guys, that'll wrap up this episode of Animation Nation. As always, you can subscribe for more content on the YouTube channel. Send questions to @democracychannel@gmail.com. I'm Brian Swan, and thanks for watching the Animation Nation. Stay tuned for more.